Without Border. My name is Clyde from Africa Media Australia. Thank you very much for watching. In this edition, I am with Fundikira Kipaya, our usual transformational coach who's with us from Sydney. And we're talking tonight about entrepreneurship mindset. We'll start with a broad discussion of mindset. I suppose a lot of times, and this is really part of the social discourse nowadays about the need to change the mindset to be able to achieve what one wants to achieve. So when you launch yourself into entrepreneurship, you do need to understand that it's obviously a different mindset that is needed in contrast to just a general way of thinking, because entrepreneurship involves a whole lot of things. So Fundi and I will going to try to break this down to look at the elements that go into this, and then what we need to look at to be able to elicit the right change that is needed for entrepreneurship purposes. Fundi, how are you tonight?
I'm very good, Clyde. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, Fundi, mindset. This is something that we talked about a lot nowadays. It's almost everywhere, in every motivational book, in every sort of motivational seminar and all that sort of thing. Maybe I'll just start by asking you a simple question. You know, what's your understanding of mindset, really? What does that mean?
Well, it comes from somebody's belief. How you position yourself in the social structures and how you were brought up. That's part of belief, and so it's culture, which explains the habits and attitude and behavior, and even the way you present yourself in your language, your linguistics, and that is in general. That's what it says. But if you think you're not good enough, or you're thinking you're not good enough, that means you're going to be having that attitude or mentality of mindset of survival. But if you think you are, you need you need to have excellence. You're aiming for a mindset of thriving. So and that's in general.
All right, so there's a lot that can be put into the sort of mindset box. You mentioned beliefs, there's habits, there's behaviors, there's attitude, there's language, there's culture. I'll start with this latter one, the latest one, culture. It goes a lot into people's mindset. People think the way they think because somehow they've been conditioned by their culture to think that way. Is that right?
That's correct. If you are not really thinking outside of those so-called boxes, you always think through your culture. So your orientation, your natural orientation is culture, and whatever we do, it's us. We are biological machines. We are programmable, and we are programmed by our culture.
That's right. And I suppose a lot of us don't realize, even before you actually understand who you are, before you realize, oh, I am Clyde, I am Fundi, I am John. There's a whole lot of things that have been packed into you. From your culture, starting from the family settings, the community setting, the school. So a whole lot of stuff that have been pushed into your mind that you can't really get rid of. So an American will think a lot of times like an American, an Australian, or a Congolese or Tanzanian will think that was, even though you can change quite a lot of things, but there's a degree of things that you really can't change, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. Culture is not something you can just water it down and make it disappear. No, this is our core. This is something. When we were born unprogrammable. We start being programmed very, very first day you're born. So going through life, you're being bent, broken, and blended into this sphere of culture, where when you come out behaving like the way it was expected, they say he is good. But if you are kind of like the opposite, something is wrong. The parents didn't do the right, or the school you went was wrong, or something like that.
Yeah. All right. But then, obviously, even though we are so much conditioned or programmed, as you put it, we still have the ability to change quite a lot of how we've been educated, how we've been programmed in the society to take a path that perhaps the culture, the society, and life in the community may not have prepared us for. We can sort of get out of that, broader cultural community expectation, and then go into a different path that we want. So there's a degree of freedom we have in changing things. So I suppose what we're trying to do today is, we're trying to look at how we can facilitate the discussion around the right mindset for entrepreneurship. We're encouraging people in our community to become more entrepreneurial, because for many years we've been sort of conditioned to just looking for a job. You have your 9-to-5 job, and it gives you the stability of a salary, and that's fine. But we think that there's a different way of looking at things. You can start a business, you can develop a project, and you can do things. So where do we start, Fundi, that journey from the job mindset that we are conditioned into entrepreneurship mindset?
I think open-mindedness is very important, to be flexible in the way you access information, data, or knowledge, or even generating wisdom. But you have to be open-minded most of all the time, to allow that your cultural programming doesn't really restrict you to do what you're out there to do. In terms of how you can change and have the right mindset for entrepreneurial environment is, first of all, commitment is very important. And then, other attributes like creativity and courage comes along with it.
Yeah. Well, for someone to decide that I want to start a business, I want to initiate XYZ, I suppose it all starts from what's in your mind in terms of you have a particular vision, and then you get into that imagination you talked about. Some people have spoken of the image in nation. So there's the image in use, and you have to be able to then start developing that creativity and innovation, so that you'll be able to not only get out of what everybody else might think about one thing or another, but you start developing something that is new. You see opportunities and you connect them, you move forward. Do people have to, I suppose, what does sort of encourage creativity and imagination in people's, outside of any sort of workspace? What would make some people more innovative, creative than others? Is it just nature or nurture, or what actually goes into it?
Well, there are many things. I mean, some people are brought up in an environment where this is a normal thinking, thinking about problem solving through business. That's what entrepreneurship is. So if you are lucky to be in that environment, it's very easy to grow in that direction. But if you are away from that, it's very difficult to even find your way in, because you're looking at everything at first order. But if you are enabled to think like an entrepreneur, and to have the audacity, to have the imagination, and then the imagination to have a process where that imagination becomes ideation, and then an idea becomes a concept which you can actually apply it to yourself and activate it and actualize it.
Yeah. So you mentioned problem solving there. I suppose that's a key thing in entrepreneurship. Pretty much every business is set to solve a particular problem. When there's a problem, there's a need, and that need is something that can be used to make money out of. So it looks like an entrepreneur is somebody who looks for a problem to solve and make money out of that, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the idea, and we encourage to have that curiosity, to be observant, and to reflect on these problems which are surrounding you, or even some of them are far away from you, and also to be explorative, to try and see, okay, if this thing is not working in this environment, and then you can think and transcend away from the natural or normal narrative of every day to be above that, and to bring their creativity and to come up with a solution for the problem. That's entrepreneurship.
And then I suppose besides creativity, because you can really think of, okay, I see, oh, there's a particular need in this area. Everybody from Mark Zuckerberg to Steve Jobs to, Dangote or anybody who's been in business, they've created stuff. They see where the need is. There's a problem to be solved, but it also takes a lot of courage to actually launch yourself into that journey of solving the problem, because it's not an easy thing, is it?
Yes, it is. It is not easy. So when we're talking about, for example, how do you make commitments? You have to start with making a proper intention, and then commitment. Once you're committed, then you can go through the process of goal setting, and then build up into this big vision of something which you stick with it, and you kind of like you focus on that, and then you call other people to action if they want to come and understand your vision, to join you, to be on the journey.
Yeah, so you got to have that courage to actually make the decision. I can relate to this in a sense that myself, I worked many years in the corporate environment. I worked for Tesla for about 10 years, and then I went to the ombudsman for about 9 years. And I was thinking about quitting my 9-to-5 job and starting a business. And it took me, I thought about it for several years, probably 5 or 7 years, but I never really got into it. I just keep thinking, I keep reflecting, I keep planning. And it took a long time until I decided, right now, I got to go. I know there are a lot of people who are employed right now who also want to be able to go into business, but they can't quite summon the courage to cross the line. What would you tell them that might help in that purpose? For that purpose?
Well, most of us, when we have satisfied our basic needs, now we look for belonging. And once we find a belonging, we don't want to explore further because we're in a comfort zone. So for me, is to not accept the comfort of what you have and keep expanding and pass the barriers which are to do with your comfort. Okay, that's something I would say it's very important when somebody wants to become an entrepreneur, not to be comfortable all the time. Be ready for changes, be ready, because entrepreneurship is about changing things. So you have to change yourself before you can change things. So your mindset has to be fluid and open to all these changes and discomforts which comes with it. Okay, it's not very comfortable. Yeah. So that's one thing. Well,
if you're feeling you're too comfortable in your life, that probably means there's room for you to grow. And if you want to get into entrepreneurship, don't think that you're going to be comfortable a lot of times. It will be a journey that will have its ups and downs, and mostly it's the oscillating. It's something stable. You can achieve that area, that stage where you've worked so hard and you've built so many things and people work for you and you just kind of relax. But before you get there, it's going to be a lot of turbulence, isn't it?
That's what it looks from outside, but it's never. These people who are high achievers, it's always uncomfortable. There's always something happening behind the scenes. You're trying to solve. Because once you decide to solve a problem, it doesn't mean the problem just disappears. It grows. Yeah. Actually, the problem grows because you are triggering other things as you go. So they have to keep solving those problems. Those are the milestones which takes you higher and higher and higher, and sometimes it drops you, and all those happening are uncomfortable, So I don't think there's anyone who is comfortable. It doesn't matter. We see people on their portraits, on glossy magazines, this person is a billionaire, or this. They go through a lot of discomfort.
Yeah. They definitely go through a lot of discomfort. That is for sure. And even we've heard a lot of times, people say, "Oh, I'm sick and tired of the 9-to-5 job," and another entrepreneur would say, "Okay, you don't want to work 9 to 5, you want to work 9 to 11," because that's what it is in the end. It's no longer 9 to 5. It's maybe 7 to 11, really, because you're all the time thinking about how you grow your business, because now you have to solve all the problems in terms of the management of the business, all the needs that arise, how you manage your staff, and how you do your marketing and all of that. Yes, at some point, if you have a lot of money, you can pay people to do all of that. But even when you pay, you still need to follow up to check that everything is being done. So. And also, one other thing in entrepreneurship mindset is the determination, because a lot of times things will go wrong. Things will go wrong. And when things go wrong, you have to find a way to make them right again, or to keep on going, because you will fall, but you need to rise up again and continue. And that is something that quite a lot of people don't always have, that ability to, persist, to persevere, and continue even when the going is tough.
Absolutely, because that brings us to introduce, probably is going to be the next time when we discuss leadership, self-leadership, and also being an influencer in a lot of areas because being an entrepreneur and being alone entrepreneurship, that is limited potential. So if you really want to scale your potential in entrepreneurship, you have to be a team builder. You have to be an influencer. You have to be a wisdom generator. You have to be a thinker. You have to think beyond, the surface. You have to have depth in the way you see things.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things, deep thinking, wisdom, leadership, all of that goes into entrepreneurship. And unfortunately, we don't have much time to go deeper than we have done today, but we will continue this conversation in our next edition of Afropreneur Mindset. We do thank everyone who's been watching. We encourage you to not just watch, but comment and share the video. I want to say thank you to you, Fundi, for your wise advice as we continue this series on it's all part of social mobility, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, and that's something that we're trying to encourage more within the African Australian communities and beyond. Fundi, any last word? You have lots of wise words. Just drop a couple before we go.
No, just to remind you that we got Triple C here. So we've got commitment, courage, and creativity bundle up together with leadership. That will bring you entrepreneurship right at the forefront.
Okay, I can't say any more than that. Thank you very much, guys. And until next time, stay connected. Bye-bye.
Thank you.